All right, everyone, Supreme Kami over here. So it is gear time. So if you guys do notice that back in what 3.3 update, there was a campaign talking about if you upgrade a set amount of, let's say, the 2-star version of the left leg gear, will be rewarded with some of these 3-star version of them over here. So in terms of what we have got back in terms of reward, we got ourselves a 3-star change gear. We got also a 3-star job gear, and last but not least, a 3-star work gear pieces over here. So I'm just gonna quickly break down what you guys should be picking. Not gonna try to spend too much time in explaining each individual one, because I have done separate video talk about them like a long time ago already. So let's actually get started with the 3-star change gear over here. So into the change gear, we only have one coupon, so let's do kind of pick which one of the three we should pick. So I think the first one we can cross off the list is definitely going to be the change resistance, because the resistance is only coming in at 25%, and in terms of overall resistance, both your physical and beam, they don't really rack up as much points, or let's say instead, compared to your melee or defense, or melee or shot defense. So that's why that is definitely going to be one we are going to skip. In terms of which one we should focus on, let's say both melee and shot, that is really going to depend on what you guys are looking at, because in terms of what they do, they are basically going to be converting 30% of your, let's say, defensive, let's say melee or shot, basically 30% of that, and then adding that to your overall raw melee slash shot attack over here. So this one really depends if you guys are like a, or let's say if you guys have a pretty good melee build, you guys want to further invest into it, definitely go for this one. Or let's say you purely want to use, let's say, shot based build for, let's say, trying to clear event a lot more faster. That really is going to depend on what kind of playing style you are, but definitely pick either or, and then you guys should be pretty good to go. Okay, so this segment I am going to quickly show you guys how effective the change gear can be. So right now I am under my shooting build over here without any gear, so we are starting out at 109,000 already. So if I add in the 3-star gear, so I actually do have the 3-star shot gear and the 4-star virtual gear, so I can quickly show you guys the difference between them. So in terms of this one over here, we're roughly getting about what, how much is this actually? That's like what, 25 is it? Yeah, I think we're getting 25 from that. And then if you talk about the 4-star version of it, we are getting how much more? We're getting roughly about 8,000 more, so that is actually quite effective. Even talk about the 3-star version. So if you guys do get the 3-star version and then slowly work your way up to the 4-star version, that is definitely quite acceptable, because that is like, in terms of farming all these gear, that is like it's actually going to be a pain to get all those resources. So the fact that they're giving us a 3-star version right now is actually a very big W. So that's going to be how effective the 3-star and the 4-star gears over here. So now let's jump back into the next gear. Okay, so up next we do have the 3-star job gear over here. So in terms of the job gear, we have 6 different ones over here, but they are actually going to be 2 groupings of it. So first off, you have the defender, infighter, and outfighter. They are exclusively going to be boosting your melee attack. And then you have middle shooter, long shooter, and supporter job gears over here. So all 3 of them are going to be boosting your shooting build over here. So in determining which one you want to pick, you definitely do have to go over what kind of part trait they're actually supporting, because their part trait that says you have to be using an infighter, sometimes they want you to be using a long shooter for a specific build. So do kind of be careful in when picking them. So if you are working on a good melee build, you definitely want to be picking an infighter slash an outfighter. So like I said, again, depending on what kind of part trait or what kind of build you can kind of apply that into. And then in terms of shooting build, definitely go for anything that's going to be a middle shooter or a long shooter, and then you guys should be pretty much good to go. Okay, so back to my build right here. So now we apply the job license over here. So what do I have over here? Oh, I only have these over here, so that's why I didn't pick any. So in terms of your middle shooter over here, so in terms of middle shooter, you are getting, it's going to be only 1500, so you're not going to be getting like a massively boost. But I think the most important thing about this over here is definitely, if you're looking at it at a 4-star perspective, you're getting a 90% on a spot. So that's why in terms of your job license, trying to activate your limit break, you can basically activate your limit break pretty much at the start of the battle, and that should probably carry out throughout the match, and you should pretty much complete the match by then. And then in terms of the 1-star version, you do get up to a 2,000 to that respective stat. So that's why if you are able to farm that up, I know that in terms of work gear, it's gonna, or not the work gear, in terms of the job gear, it is gonna take some time to farm it up. So that's why the 3-star version is still a very good option to be just starting out from. So moving back to the other gears now. Great, last but not least, we have the 3-star word gear over here. So in terms of the 3-star word gear and just kind of see which one to pick, we actually definitely have a lot of gears or a lot of word tag gears to be picking up from here. But in terms of which one to pick for, me personally, I went for the commander, because the commander is definitely going to be the best one to be looking at in terms of your shooting build. But that is going to be my own personal preference, because obviously my shooting base build is definitely revolving around Ace of Subsip, commander, and then high firepower. And then, you know, high power, or let's say commander, is already giving out a 10% on its initial word tag, and then plus another 150%. So that's why this one is probably the best one for your shooting build. But like I said again, it purely depends on what kind of build you guys are looking at. I know that there are tons of people that does not run commander, so I think the next best option people usually run, I see them using Ace of Suzu tags, you know, Gundam type tag, and then high firepower as their main trio. In terms of that, maybe the Gundam type is probably the better of the two, because this one is giving 150%. But you do have to keep that in mind in terms of the actual the effects of the word, like the Gundam type word tag is only giving out a 5% shot attack up, so it may not be as good as, let's say, Ace of Suzu, for example, because Ace of Suzu is like giving up 10% on its word tag, but this one's only 100%. So that's why the best bet is definitely going to be, you definitely want to target something that's going to give you a high percentage and something that you are currently using as a word tag. So that's why commander is definitely the best one of the bunch. Mid-range and then long range are definitely some pretty sneaky good options as well, because they do definitely provide some higher, you know, word tag, you know, effectiveness over here. I will have to say mid-range is definitely looking a pretty good one for now, because there's so many lately. Not really lately, but you know, here and there we do get some mid-range support that is actually pretty huge. Like, you know, a few weeks ago we got the big scale Kublai that does cope with the mid-range and the Ace of Subset and commander upon, you know, upgrading to 7-star. And if you have the P attribute, the alternative version of the Kublai, you guys can definitely get some commander type from that. You can do commander, Ace of Subset, and then mid-range as your combo, and you guys should be looking very good right there. So that's going to be pretty much it in terms of your shot variant. So in terms of your melee, so melee, this comes with a few flavor. You got pro tag, close combat, high mobility, high firepower, you know, mobile fighter as well. So mobile fighter is definitely the best one to be picking, but in terms of mobile fighter, in terms of building around that, is not really that, you know, easy, because there's just not a lot of, let's say, mobile fighter type parts to be looking like. So you're definitely gonna be stuck on, let's say, the burning Gundam, the P attribute, the Sokai tier version, or if you guys are able to pay the, what is it, the Sokai version of it. The Sokai version of the Burning Gundam is definitely the best, you know, mobile fighter tag unit to be running. You also do have some, you know, standard, not really standard, but you also do have some welfare part you can definitely kind of subslide into, for say, or even Master Gundam, that is going to be a standard alterated. But in terms of that, just mobile fighter tag specifically, it's just a very hard time to build around that. So that's why maybe the best one to go for is actually going to be Pro Tag, you know, common one to look like. So this one's only going to be giving you 100% because of the fact that this tag is so common. So how they kind of set these originally basically depends on how much usage the actual word tag is. So that's why if you see Ace of Suzu, for example, or even close combat, they actually comes with the 100%. So I would have to say, unfortunately, maybe, you know, high mobility can be something you want to be looking at as well, because this one does come with 150% boosting. Also does come with some melee defense and shot defense as well. But I think overall it depends on what kind of build you guys look like. Pro Tag is definitely the safest option. Close combat and high power are definitely going to be like a trio war tag. So high mobility can be like, I don't know, like I do see a lot of people use high mobility, so that's why that could be a good war tag gear to be look like. But you know, at the end of the day, just kind of see what kind of option you guys look like, and then that should kind of determine which one you want to be picking. So those are pretty much going to be it in terms of overall gear. Some of the other ones are not really that relevant in a way. Like in terms of Xeon tag is very niche, you know, in terms of building around that, so you don't want that. It does give you that premium, you know, percentage as well, so it's secondary effects right there, but it's just really hard to grasp on that build. You also do have some very finicky one, let's say gym type, pretty much not going to run into it all. And let's say some other one like these one over here, not really going to be running into as well. Like this one over here is Sakura type, not going to run Sakura type, right? Even let's say support type, Probably not. So alright, so now the finale is actually me applying every one of those gears over here. So let me just start things out with the chest gear that they're not giving out this time around. So in terms of the chest gear, we do get up to a 2500, and that's pretty much it in terms of the overall effects. We're not really getting anything else. So let's now apply the change gear. So the change gear is going to be this one over here. So you guys can see a massive boost already. We are looking at 1113,000, and then we jump straight to 146. So man, so that defensive side right there, adding on top of that, that is a massive boost right there. So we're gonna use this right now. Bam. Up next, we are going to be using a job gear. So this one is not going to be that effective, you know, in terms of what kind of stat we're boosting, but we are still getting a roughly about 3,000 actually, right? So if I do this and then do this, yeah, that's roughly about 3,100. So pretty good right there as well. So last but not least, we have the what's it, the commander tech gear over here. So let me show you guys the 3-star version first. So the 3-star version is looking at about 169,000. So you bump it up to the 4-star version, you're looking at 174. So so if you do have the 3-star version, you guys should be looking very good already. So you're not really getting that like an extremely power boosting afterward, but it just gives you a sizable chunk as well. So 169 to 174, so that's roughly about 5,000-ish. So 5,000-ish in terms of like raw stat is not really that impressive overall. So if you guys are stuck with the 3-star version of it, you guys are definitely good, because like in terms of 3-star to 4-star, you're not really looking too much of a difference. But definitely having commander is definitely a massive W for sure. So that is definitely going to be pretty much it in terms of overall gears. You know, they're definitely doing us a big favor by giving those up at like 3-star already. So a lot of players can definitely go ahead and use them and kind of just take advantage of them, because in terms of overall gears, they definitely make up the majority bulk of what kind of stat you guys look like. So I started things out with what, 100, like roughly about 100,000, and then we finished things out with 174. So I roughly gained about 74,000 shot attack by just having all these gear filled up right here. So you know, with that being said, that's gonna be pretty much it. So hopefully, you know, with the 3-star version of these 3 gears up here, they should definitely give you guys a massive boost in terms of what kind of style you guys should be looking like. So that being said, that's going to be pretty much it, and then I'll catch you guys all on the next one.